and good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, the good people of the tube. Hope you're well today, hope you're feeling grand, and always when you will. And in the blue corner, I don't know, that's what you're reminding me of. Anyway, hello everybody, welcome to another Q&A Wednesday. Let's get straight into it, let's dive in, shall we? So let's say. So, question one today, everybody, is, who were your inspirations that made you want to play, made you want to shred and play fast? So let me read that again, because that was utterly terrible, wasn't it, Dave? Yes, it was, Dave. Who were your inspirations that made you want to play fast guitar, like shred guitar? Because there's a few questions, there's a few sub-questions in question one, everybody, so I will answer them in subsequent order. Well, obviously you will, Dave. I like to state the obvious, don't I? Has anyone else noticed that? So, let's get back to the actual question at hand before we just go off on randomness. I don't mind going off tangents with questions, but when it's not... Just shut up and answer the question, Dave. What's so hard about that? Okay, inspirations that made me want to play fast. Yngwie Malmsteen was the main one. When I first kind of got into kind of a whole idea of shred guitar, I wanted to be Yngwie Malmsteen. There's not really anybody else shred-wise I wanted to kind of, or I took inspiration from, really. I mean, I had a massive phase of Yngwie. So yeah, I mean, it's all down to him, really. I mean, I didn't really look at people like Steve Vai and Joe Satriani, and I looked at George Lynch in Dokken, because I really like Dokken. So I that a bit, but not really as much as Yngwie. So Yngwie was the original guitarist I saw who made me want to play fast, made me want to play shred stuff. And I don't think I can do it on the Gretsch, but let's try. But doing stuff like, well, I'll do that instead, it's just easier. That kind of thing. That was, especially Black Star Far Beyond the Sun, Guitar Suite OP5 or whatever it's called. What else? What is it called? Rising Force. Is it Rising Force? That's probably not Rising Force. I don't remember anymore. Is it Rising Force? Or is it I See the Light Tonight? I see the light tonight. It could be that. I think it's I See the Light. I don't know. I'm completely off my mind. Oh, Rising Force is that mad solo that goes... I can't do it on this guitar. I'm not used to this guitar yet, and it's not a Strat, so I'm not in my comfort zone. That's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it. Damn it. Anyway, yes. Yngwie Malmsteen was my biggest kind of influence to want to play fast. I learnt a lot of his stuff, and I just wanted to be able to do that kind of thing, and it was just really, really cool to me. And again, I bet I can't do it, but let's try. Just that kind of thing, really. I just wanted to be able to do that. And so Yngwie Malmsteen was the guy I looked at for that, really. It wasn't really people like Steve Vai. In all fairness, I love Steve Vai, but I don't listen to his music as much as I'd say listen to like Yngwie's music and stuff like that. And then later on, after Yngwie, it was I got, you know, it was people like, you know, Richie Blackmore, kind of the origins of shred, you know, with stuff like Highway Star, where he's... You know, that kind of thing. That was, got into more of that, where it came from, so to say. So kind of like, there's kind of natural progression as well from Yngwie to Richie Blackmore, because Yngwie is a lot of Richie Blackmore, even though he doesn't like to admit that. And he says he never took anything from Richie Blackmore. It's like, yeah, come on. You know, he took pretty much, you know, a lot. He took a lot from Richie. As did a lot of guitarists. You know, that neoclassical thing. Richie was one of the original kind of people who did that, along with people like Uli John Roth. So Yngwie just kind of like put nitrous oxide into it and sent it into the stratosphere. No pun intended. But yeah, it was Yngwie who made me want to play fast. Much to the dismay of my dad, who hates shred guitar, I was in my bedroom all day, every day, and it must have driven people balmy. My dad likes punk music, so like when I was 17 years old and just whittling to Far Beyond the Sun and Black Star and stuff like that, I think it was driving him a bit balmy, which is funny to think about now. So Yngwie Malmsteen was and still is my main influence wanting me to play fast. I just love his sound, and the fact he plays a Stratocaster as well, but that's kind of nothing really to do with it. I just like his tone. I like his neck pickup tone, his shred tone, especially the older days Yngwie. It's not to say he's rubbish now, because he's not. I mean, he still does things that I couldn't do in a million billion years. But I think his tone is a little bit different now. I preferred his tone, a long time ago, like during the Alcatraz days and stuff like that. There's just something really awesome around that time, tonally wise. It's just a proper, really awesome kind of strat tone. So Yngwie was mainly the only influence I had to play fast. Shred, on the subject of shred guitarists, because I had influences like John Frusciante and Jimi Hendrix by that point. I actually had my first influence. Obviously, was people like Billy Joe and Dexter Holland and Noodles from The Offspring, and obviously Billy Joe being in Green Day. But after that, I got into John Frusciante ridiculously heavily. Like in my first year of playing guitar, I went for it was like those four guys. It was like John Frusciante, Billy Joe, Dexter Holland, and Noodles. They were kind of like my go-to guys who I wanted to play and sound like. And when I saw John Frusciante playing on Off the Map and doing all this crazy fast stuff, I wanted to be able to do that as well. And then I got into Yngwie Malmsteen, which made me want to really shred. And then I got into Jimi Hendrix, which kind of reined me back in from just widdly. I've got like tapes and stuff. I think I've got a video on it somewhere. I've got tapes of me just shredding, and it's just awful. I just had no technique back then, and it just wasn't very nice sound. But yeah, Yngwie Malmsteen was the only guy really I could think of. I didn't really listen to people like Joe Satriani or Steve Vai or any of the other shredders. I'm going to say I listened to George Lynch a bit because I like Dokken. But, like I said, but I don't really cite it as kind of... I don't really cite him as kind of making me want to shred. It was Yngwie through and through, just 100%. So yes. So long way round for that answer, but hopefully that made sense. Can you you also asked, can you point me into a couple of bands and songs to challenge a genre newbie who wants to shred? Yeah, again, coming back to Mr. Yngwie, anything Yngwie. I mean, Black Star is a great place to start by Yngwie Malmsteen. Black Star is a great place to start because it's a really, really awesome riff. There's some amazing little runs in there, some really nice runs. And the riff isn't overly technical. It's just a real nice kind of singy riff, but then you get that that run. What is it? That one. That's a really nice run to be able to kind of get under your fingers. And you can hear it's that E flat that gives it that kind of weird dissonant neoclassical. It gives it that kind of neoclassical kind of sound. But yeah, Black Star's a good place to start. People like Steve Vai are good to look at as well, because they do a lot, there's a lot of shred. Joe Satriani as well. Shred guitarists. There's a lot of shred guitarists. I mean... But I say my personal favourite has to be Yngwie. It always will be Yngwie, because he's the one who made me want to do that, play fast and be able to kind of do that kind of thing, and be able to kind of do certain sweep picking and stuff like that, which I used to be able to do and I just can't do anymore because I haven't practiced it in decades, so I can't really sweep pick anymore. Shall we try just for a chuckle? Why not? Let's have a giggle. Okay. I don't think I can remember any. No, I don't think I can. But let's have a look. No, I can't do it. I can't do it for Toffee. Especially not on the Gretsch. It's not really the right guitar. I can't do it on any guitar. I'm just not that good enough at that anymore. But, you know, it was one of those things thingy. But anything Malmsteen-wise, like I say, Rising Force has got a great solo. It's crazy. Anything else? But yeah, I mean, I would recommend Malmsteen. There's Malmsteen, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, like the big three. There's also people like Buckethead. There's a song called Binge and Grab by Buckethead, which is really, really cool. It's got a great riff. It's a good little finger warm-up. It's a... I'm picking out the camera. Sorry! But yeah, Buckethead is another one. Soothsayer by Buckethead is a shredderama. An absolute shredderama, kind of like, you know, joyous occasion, Soothsayer. And so's other things. It's just some crazy Buckethead stuff. His tapping is mental. But anyway, so Yngwie Malmsteen, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Buckethead, Guthrie Govan does a bit of shred stuff. But my main one would be Yngwie, because he's the one who kind of inspired me to want to do that kind of thing, and I always recommend Yngwie. I just like Yngwie. You know, he's just an outrageous character, if that makes any sense. He's just an absolute. I really want to. I need to get his book. Because it's just that it's just insane. He's just insane. He's very, very sure of himself, but in that being so sure of himself, he's very, very... I don't know, because of that, I feel like he's a bit larger than life, and it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay, so I think I've waffled on off about that. So yeah, Yngwie Malmsteen would be my number one thing for that. And also, you said, could you show some of your shred phrases that you use here and there? Apart from ones that kind of John Frusciante inspired, like the trills, there's a couple that are quite fun. Again, I'm going to struggle on this guitar, but yeah, I mean stuff like net pickup, doing something like that kind of thing is mental. It's really good fun. That was one I came up with a while back. So basically, you start on your A string. So it's A string 7th. A string 9, A string 10, D string 9, D string 10, D string 12, G string 11, G string 12, G string 14, and then you go down to your B string 12, B string 13, B string 15, high E string 14, high E string 15, and high E string 17. So again, it's like this. Really, really slow, it does this. And it sounds a lot nicer slow than it does fast. Because fast, it's just like a it's just so quick you can't distinguish the notes. So really, yeah, in a kind of context kind of thing, it's kind of yeah, it's something like that. Yeah, you can kind of get it in there as like a little nice run to get from low strings to high strings. You can also add extra notes in, so you can play 2 notes per note, if that makes sense. So 2 on the 7, 2 on the 9, 2 on the 10. You know, that's quite a cool little run that I came up with a while back and used quite a lot. I don't know if I use it anymore. I don't think about that anymore. But that's a really cool run. One crazy run would be this. Yeah. It's all on the high E string. So basically, 17, 18, 19, 20. So So we're starting off on 17, 18, 19, 20, 20th fret on high E, going down to the 19th fret high E, to the 17th fret high E. So 20, 19, 17, then 19, 17, 15, 17, 15, 14, 15, 14, 12, 14, 12, 10, 10, 8, 7, 8, 7, 5, 7, 5, 3, 5, 3, 2, 3, 2, 0. I really hope that made sense. There you go. There's the fear again, everybody. So, it sounds like this, really slow. It's a double on the open E string just to kind of resolve the phrase because it ends otherwise on a weird time. So one more time, really slow. I don't know if that was even right. Sorry, everybody. If that's not right, I do apologise. But really fast, it's mad. Oh, Kirk Hammett was another massive influence on me, shred-wise. And that's a Kirk Hammett run. That's why I've just remembered. But yeah, Jingvei Mom saying Kirk Hammett. Jingvei. Who's Jingvei? I don't even know who Jingvei is. Was that his brother? We just don't know. But yeah, I mean, that one's a mad one. You hear Kirk Hammett doing that one a lot. It's like that. So that's scaling the whole neck, and it looks quite cool. Especially when you get on a wah wah, it sounds really Kirk Hammett. Anyway, there's two little kind of shred licks for you. Say there's that one and that one. Yeah. For what they are, they're little shreddy things. I don't really. Playing fast has its place, but I like and it's really cool to kind of put in places sometimes when it's really, really, really fast if you kind of in intensity. But it has to have its place. You know what I mean? It can't be 24/7, 7 days a week, all the time shredding. It's not musical. It's not musical. Well, not for me anyway. It's not musical enough for me anymore. I like to hear kind of melodies and the space between the notes and stuff. Okay, so I hope I answered your question. Gonna move on to question 2 now, everybody. Question 2. Can you get the John Frusciante wah wah tone from the Vox, or should I just get the Ibanez WH10? You can get an approximation with a Vox wah, but I've said this before, you have to boost the Vox with a overdrive or distortion pedal first. So if say for instance, like you've got your Vox wah and you want to kind of get a John Frusciante kind of like distorted wah wah sound, you want to go from your amp to an overdrive and then to the wah. You don't want the wah on the right side of the wah. You want it on the left side. You want it before it, or is it after? I don't know. I got confused. It's before it to me. You just want it on the left side of it. You're going into that side of it. That side of it. Sorry, everything's reversed. Why do I feel this Q&A isn't going very well? Oh, I don't know. Sorry, everybody. If it's not going well, I do apologise. But yeah, you can kind of get a pseudo Ibanez wah sound out of a Vox, like I said. But if you use an overdrive and have it on with the Vox, it'll boost the Vox into that kind of territory, because the Vox almost has the same kind of voice as an Ibanez wah. I mean, this is the Ibanez. But there's a lot of depth to the Ibanez. Like, it's a real big depth to the Ibanez. So, you can only approximate, but the Vox is the closest thing I found to getting the exact sound, especially when you boost it with an overdrive. You don't want tons of gain, You just want enough just to kind of kick it over the edge. So from a clean sound like that, you want it. The Ibanez has quite a lot of gain. Yeah, you can kind of hear it adds quite a bit of gain, but not distortion territory. It's just a little bit of overdrive. So you can get close, but in all fairness, if you want the Ibanez wah sound, you need the Ibanez wah. It's so unique to that pedal that the approximation you can only ever approximate. So if you're not happy with the approximation you get, then it's just easier to get the Ibanez, the wah. It's just easier that way. If you can find one, they're really hard to find now, which is a little bit of a pig, to say the least, because I want another one just in case mine decides to run away and die, which isn't good. Why would it run away? It hasn't got legs, Dave! You never know. Anyway, my wah pedal's grown legs! I don't know. Anyway, moving along. Yeah, but like I say, you can approximate, but you just need an overdrive on the left side of the Vox to boost it into those kind of WH10 kind of territories, if you will. Get out of my territory! Anyway, it's all going a bit weird today. Okay, so, yes, I hope that's answered your question. I have spoken about that before, actually. I think I've done a video on it. I think I've got a video on the Vox thing. Boosting it with a thing. I don't know, actually. Interesting. Okay, so, yeah, but you can get an approximation, but it's never going to be 100%. It's only about 85% there. Well, towards the actual sound of the Ibanez, the Vox thing with the overdrive is about 85% there. It's never going to be 100% just because the Ibanez wah is so distinctive to itself. So it will be a bit of a struggle. Okay, so I hope that's answered your question. We're going to move on to question 3 now. Okay, question 3. I have a budget of €700 and I'm thinking of getting a Classic Vibe 50 Strat, but I'm not sure it will give me a good John Frusciante tone. Could you give me some advice on guitar? Oh, sorry. Could you give me some advice on guitars that would be a good choice? The Classic Vibe is great for a John tone. Seriously, yeah. I mean, if you want to go for the Classic Vibe 50s, seriously, go for it, because it will give you. It's literally one of the best Strat sounds I've ever. When I owned my Classic Vibe, it was literally one of the best Strat sounds I've ever heard. It was just a Strat through and through, and it just it gives you the John Frusciante thing, and it gives you everything else you need Strat wise with just stock. You don't have to modify the Classic Vibes at all. They're just gorgeous guitars. They're just amazing. I mean, and again, there's the Classic Vibe 50s with the maple neck, and there's Classic Vibe 60s with the rosewood neck. And depending on which one you want, you can kind of go for either, so to say. But yeah, seriously, go for the Classic Vibe. I would highly recommend that. Awesome guitar. If that's what you're looking at initially, then I will happily confirm that a Classic Vibe is a great way to go, especially if you want that kind of John Frusciante tone or anything else classic Strat, because it just does that. It just has it in spades, and they feel good, they sound good, they play well. They're just awesome guitars. The Classic Vibes, absolutely awesome guitars. They really are absolutely stunning. So, yeah. I mean, I'd recommend the Classic Vibe. Other than that, you got guitars like Revelation. Although you can Euro, so I'm guessing, obviously in Europe. I don't know if you can get Revelation guitars in Europe or not. But yeah, I mean, I would just go Classic Vibe, personally. I mean, they are really, really good. I would like to recommend something like Harley Benton, but I've never tried one, so I can't really recommend them. I think Squier Classic Vibe is a great way to go. I mean, I loved mine. So much so, I'm gonna have to buy another Classic Vibe at some point, definitely. Without a shadow of a doubt, I'm gonna buy another Classic Vibe when I could afford to. But yeah, if that's what you're looking at initially, like the Classic Vibe, if that's what you're looking at, kind of initially to go for, then sorry about that, everyone. My memory card must have just glitched out, and for some reason, then I continued to do my Q&A, and I got to question 5, and I realised that my audio had basically wasn't on. So basically I was just talking quietly like this. That'd have been great Q&A, wouldn't it? Good gravy. Technical bugs in the system today. Anyway, let's go back from question 5, where I was, to question 3. That's extremely annoying, everybody. Okay, so question 3, again, yeah, I want to get people's the tube. I want to get your opinion here. If you had a budget of €700, what kind of stratty kind of guitar would you recommend? Okay, so I'm going to have to move on to question 4 now. Okay, so question 4, which I've already answered, I'm going to have to answer again now. Damn you, technology! Skynet, I'm telling you, it's going to be Judgment Day soon. Set a corner. I don't know what was going on there, but anyway, it turned into some kind of weird Terminator thing. Anyway, question 4. Tangent boy is in effect. Let's do a dance and look like an idiot. Anyway, question 4. Back in the room. I've seen Orange CR120s labelled a Crush Pro and just CR120s. Is there any difference? Not that I'm aware of. No, I think it's just a branding thing. I think the whole Crush Pro thing been written there to just CR120. I think it's just a branding thing. I don't believe there's any difference in the amps whatsoever. But I could be wrong. People of the tube, again, I call upon your help and expertise. Does anybody know if the Crush Pro is any different to just the CR120? Is there any difference whatsoever? Because personally, I don't believe there would be. I think it's just a name thing as far as I know. So I think it's just a naming thing. It's just a branding thing. But people of the tube, help me out if I am wrong. Yeah, I'm not sure why they did that, to be honest with you. I think that looks cooler just when it says CR120, but I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, hope that's answered your question. I'm going to move on because the time I spent talking quietly has drained the battery. So I'm going to move on to question 5 now. So I hope that's answered your question, though. But yeah, I don't think there's any difference whatsoever. I think it's just a branding thing. Okay, so question 5. How does John Frusciante come up with chord progressions for jams? Does he already know what he's doing, or does he just make them up on the spot? I think it's 50-50. I think some jams are kind of thought out, and I think some aren't. I mean, a classic example of a jam that's thought out, like you said in your email, is the Slaying Castle By The Way jam, the one that goes... You know, that one. I think that's thought out. I think they would know what they were doing there before they came on stage. I think they would have played around with that. But I do think they've got the chord progression, and they just play around with it. So I would say that's kind of a thought-out jam. And an example of a not thought-out jam would be the intro to Californication, because they're always different. So I think that's just a case of they know the songs in A minor, and then Flea and John just play off each other in the key of A minor. I think that's what's going on there. I don't think that's thought out at all. But stuff like the By The Way jam is definitely thought out. I think they would do that night after night until they got bored of it and wanted to do something different. So I think it's 50-50. Some are and some aren't. It's just hard to tell which ones were and which ones aren't. But yeah, I think it's 50-50 on that. Okay, so you also asked, how do you write a decent chord progression? Or do you just play what you hear in your head? Yeah, it's just down to what you want to hear. I mean, like, I've already done this example, but it was totally silent. Well, actually, no, you could hear the guitar, you just couldn't hear me talking, because the close mic. But anyway, but yeah, some people might want to hear chord progressions like this. You might want to chord progressions like this. You know, that kind of thing where, you know, where some people might not like that and go, no, I don't really like that. And they might want this. Which sounds great with distortion. Really dark. So yeah, just play what you want. There's no rules to what's a good chord progression. It's just a case of what you like the sound of more than anything else, and you know, what can you make into a song, so to say, and what's musical to you. So just play what you want. Just come up with anything you want. Just sit down with your guitar and see what comes out. That's all I can really recommend there. Just sit down, play the guitar, see what comes out. If you like it, wicked. If you don't like it, get rid of it. It's literally as simple as that. Just mess around. Just try all sorts of different things. You know, majors, minors, you know, semitones, tones, all sorts of stuff. So yeah, just play around. Okay, so you also asked too, your final thing was, I find that my Boss Katana compresses the DS2, whereas my Fender amp does not. Do you experience the same thing? Yes. You said you were using the clean channel, the lead channel, sorry, on the Katana. Yeah, I personally prefer it because it reins in the DS2 instead of it going kind of absolutely kind of crazy like this, like that, which is horrific. When you stick the lead channel on, it makes it do that. You know, there's no massive volume jump, it's just there. You know, it just keeps it under control. Your Fender amp, depending on what your Fender amp is, yeah, it probably won't compress the DS2 as well, because the DS2 has a hard time with Fender amps. Their headroom is a lot different. They're a lot cleaner, and the DS2 doesn't like that. So yeah, it's a common thing when you run a DS2 into kind of like a mid-boosted, martially kind of tone. It will compress the DS2 and keep it controlled. Whereas if you run it into a cleaner, Fenderia, why not? Who's Fenderia? I don't know. Some strange woman from a Fender factory. I am Fenderia. Anyway, where was I? Yes, but yeah, when you run like a DS2 into like the Fender amp or something like that, yeah, you will find it's a lot more unruly and a bit more crazy because their compression isn't there to control it. So, but yeah, compressing a DS2 is a good thing, trust me. It's an unruly pedal at the best of times, especially when it does this. It does this. Mental thing. I love it. Okay, so yeah, so I hope I answered your question. I'm running out of battery, and I'm not happy about that, because I wanted the tangent, and now the battery will not let me. Okay, so yeah, finally, moving on to question 6, everybody. Final question of the day. Okay, so question 6. How good is the CR120C, the Orange CR120 combo, at replicating the tones from your how many tones can you get out of 1 amp series? It's exactly the same, in my opinion. The CR120C that I got lent to do a demo of from Orange felt the same, sounded the same. It's just the same amp. It's just the same amp. So I think it'll just be, it's just a carbon copy. It's just this in a combo. You know, it's the exact same amplifier. It's the same as the CR60. The CR60 doesn't sound a great deal of difference, to be honest with you. I use the same settings on the CR60 that I use on the CR120. So yeah, I mean, I don't know for 1 second that, like, you know, you'd kind of it won't be able to replicate the same kind of tones. The only thing I would say is the voice of the world speakers, until they're broken in, can be quite harsh. So, well, there's like a fizzy kind of top end to them, but that eventually goes away. But it just takes a bit of playing and getting them kind of broken in, so to say. But yeah, it's the same amp. So yeah, I mean, in terms of getting the same tones, yeah, you can do that. It's the same kind of thing. But you have to be aware that my settings for the how many tones can you get out of 1 amp might differ to yours. If you dial in the same settings that I had on my videos to your amp, they might be a little bit dark or a little bit bright, depending. Mostly dark, from what I hear. But and in which case you got to use that as a jumping off point to go, right, well, that's too dark, so let me add more mid. Especially if you're on the CR120. Stay away from the treble dial! Add the mids. That's just a warning. I don't know what that was. Anyway, but yeah, that's what I would say. I would recommend is like you play with the mids and the bass. That's not necessarily the treble. But yeah, just be aware that, like, you know, the settings that I've got might not necessarily work for you. You've got to kind of, like, you know, take it for what it is. You know, it might get you close, and you might have to get the rest away yourself, so to say. So just try and just try different things. You know, but I say stay away from a treble dial. The treble dial is nasty when you start cranking it up. It works. It worked really well for the Darren Malakian sound from System of a Down. The treble worked perfectly for that. But most of the time for stuff like the Jimi Hendrix tone and the John Frusciante tone and the Jack White tone and the Stevie Ray Vaughan thing, the treble was just a little bit too much. The mid dial was the better kind of sparkle, so to say, to add on top of the tone. So yeah, that's what I would say. But yeah, they're pretty much exactly the same. You know, they're exactly the same. You know, they're just, you know, it's just coming through 2 speakers instead of 4. And like I say, the Voice of the World speakers, I found mine to be a bit, well, not fizzy, but there is this kind of high-end thing to the Voice of the World speakers until they're broken in. There's something about them that I didn't really like. I love them now they're broken in, but they when I first got the cab, there's a kind of like a high end to them that I didn't like. It eventually goes away. It's just because the speakers are new and they need breaking in. And it just requires you to play through it day after day after day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute, second after second, until eventually, you know, they settle. But once they settle, they sound immense. So yes. Yeah, CR120C would easily be able to replicate those tones. But be aware that the EQ settings that I got might not necessarily work for you. You've got to take into consideration your guitar, the leads you use, the room you're in, the pedals, if you're using pedals on top of it, you know, whatever. You've got to take certain things into consideration. It can't just be a case of set it to that and away it goes. I wish it was that simple. Sadly, it is not, because we're all different and we all play differently, we all sound differently slightly. So just use those settings as a jumping off point, which is what I always say. Just use them as a jumping off point and kind of go from there. Okay, so final thing of today's Q&A, everybody, is other part. Well, part B of question 6 from the same person is it possible to get John Frusciante's tone with a Telecaster? Yes, although you will find it to be a little darker, especially on the neck pickup. A bridge pickup, you can get away with fairly well on a Telecaster to kind of replicate John's tones, like stuff like Can't Stop and stuff like that. You know, you can kind of get away with that on the Telecaster. But the neck pickup on the Telly, you'll find to be a little bit darker than a Strat. It won't have so much sparkle on the top end. So, but, you know, you can still do it. You can still get away with it. You can still get a really, really cool, passable John Frusciante tone with a Telecaster. No problem at all. So, yes, very, 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 very possible, everybody. So yeah, I hope that's answered your questions. I do have a fear that this Q&A has gone a bit awry. But I always feel that. I always feel like I'm not doing the best. Which is a bit of annoying sometimes, I've got to say. It's like, you know, I don't know anymore. If this Q&A has been bad, sorry, I apologise immensely. But I hope I've answered all your questions okay, and I hope, you know, there's something you can take away from the answers. I always try and be informative. I'm always worried that I'm not, and I'm just, you know, just absolutely ruining things. My number one fear is just absolutely ruining people's questions. Quiet, Dave, quiet. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this Q&A. Like I said, I hope I answered your questions okay, and I will see you on Friday for another video. I don't know what it's going to be. I have 2 new pedals to show you, but I think I might do that next week. I think that might be next week's video, Monday and Friday. I have this awesome green carrot pedal to show you. Can I show you in the light? I don't know. That one. And I also have this awesome pedal to show you, which has been very, very kindly made for me. Can you see it? Hopefully you can see what that is. It's really, really cool. So hopefully next week I'll be showing you those. And yes, have a great morning, afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Yeah, have a great one. Goodbye now. I'm gonna do Terminator again. I'll be back.